I was rocking. I was drumming. I was rocking. It was, man, that's banging.
Yeah, you do a great job in that, Ray. That's great.
Well, hello. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you, Justin?
Feeling lovely. It's a rainy day outside. I don't know. Am I wearing any green? Are you guys wearing green? Let me see.
I got a green screen.
I got some wardrobe malfunction problems here.
Yeah.
Got some green tie-dye. How about that?
Oh, that'll work.
There you go.
Yep. Excited to join you guys for another episode of the news version of Unplugged. I guess we call it Plugged In, right?
Yeah, plug back. I mean, yeah, that was your title, Justin.
Yeah.
I only riffed off of you.
It's a pretty good one. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about what we know and what we can see from the new 2024 Kia EV9. Will there finally be an affordable 3-row EV that has decent range? I don't know. Maybe. We'll talk about what we do know and what we don't know. 7-Eleven, my favorite gas station besides Sheetz. Those of you on the East Coast will know what I'm talking about. Is going to be making a big announcement. Well, they've already made the announcement, but more details to come on a pretty big EV disruptor in my opinion. So we'll be talking about that. Blink, Justice, I don't know if you heard about Blink's latest news, but I'm going to be diving into that. And then we got some VW to wrap it up. If we've got time, we'll dabble in some Tesla news.
Nice.
Yeah,
Let me take my screen off there. I didn't mean to put that up yet.
Is
all
that new EV9?
Yeah, I
was gonna say, just leave it up, Justice.
Do we want to go into it? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my goodness gracious, you caught my attention.
I was trying to get it ready and made a mistake, so there we go.
So if you need to fit 7 people into your electric vehicle comfortably,
yes,
in 2024 for under hopefully 70 grand, it looks like the Kia EV9 is going to be perfect for you. They have not officially announced pricing yet, but Car and Driver did a really interesting little survey with their, hundreds of thousands of readers, and the consensus among the survey respondents was that everyone seems to think this is going to start between 50 and 70,000. It looks pretty darn cool, and because of the looks and the features on the interior that we're about to talk about, I don't see it starting for under 59,000, but I hope it does. The Kia EV9 is based on the eGMP platform that the highly acclaimed Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, and Genesis GV70, or is it GV60?
70 electric, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They're built on the eGMP platform. And why does that matter? Well, at least for the amount of money you'll be paying, you'll get some fast charging and decent range. Kia, let's just start off here. Kia has not announced official specs for range or anything like that, but they did let some journalists tour the vehicle in person in South Korea the other day. And there was a range figure on the dashboard of about 270 miles. And it was at like 90% state of charge. So if that's not just there for looks, that was a factual range estimate, maybe a rear-wheel drive version of the Kia EV9 with 3 rows would get 300 miles on a charge. And with fast charging, it's looking pretty sweet. Take a look at that interior right there. I mean, it looks a lot like the Kia EV6, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. What do you think?
Didn't you say in the beginning, just help me with this, that if you're looking for an affordable 3-row electric vehicle that will seat 7, that this could, and then you said that it's probably going to be around $70,000.
Oh, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Wait a second. Then you said, okay, maybe it'll be closer to 50. I'm still waiting for the affordable part. When do we get into the affordable 3-row 7-passenger EV vehicle?
Because it's as good as it gets, Ray. I don't see it coming below $50,000 anytime soon, if ever, for a 3-row EV. Possibly never. It might never happen.
Okay, because I mean, at 50, at 60, at 70, that's not affordable.
So what would you consider to be affordable in 2023 dollars for a 3-row EV? I have a number in my mind, and let's see what you say, Ray.
I don't. My definition of affordable and your definition of affordable could be two completely different definitions. Affordable to me is below $40,000. Now, does that mean that there will never ever be a 3-row EV that would be affordable? In my opinion, probably means that. There's I can't think of too many ICE vehicles that are 3-row, seat 7, that you could get for 40 grand, if you can get any. Well, I guess the new CX-90 starts right around 40 grand in the base model. But yeah, your definition of affordable could be, considerably more money than what my definition of affordable is.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. I guess for me personally, I would think that considering it's fully electric and you're not talking about Chevy Bolt or Nissan Leaf charge times and range, you're talking about next generation capability. And with that in mind, I think 50,000 is where I draw the line between what an affordable EV is and is not. But here's something that does influence my thinking before everyone goes crazy in the chat about me saying 50,000 is affordable. If you're looking at a 3-row SUV, let's say you're looking at a fully electric 3-row SUV and you're not paying for gas, you're paying for electricity, probably getting around 2 to 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. But that's still not going to be a high electric bill. If you're looking at a 3-row gas guzzling SUV, you're going to be paying so much more in fuel. And that is going to add up very quickly. You're going to make up more than that $10,000 difference in price pretty quickly, especially if you're driving more than 14,000, 15,000 miles a year. So that total cost of ownership does come into mind for me. But when it comes to the sticker price, yeah, I feel silly calling 50,000 somewhat affordable.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, you were thinking that it'll probably start at 59. So yeah, that's even less affordable in my mind. But I get the total cost of ownership. That makes a lot of sense.
And affordability definitely changes based on where you're located too. I think affordability in California is a different number than affordability in West Virginia.
Totally.
I mean, it's just so, it's all somewhat subjective. Can I just real quick, because I know, Ray, you don't like the affordability option, but I do think I see something you would like.
Yeah.
Look at all these buttons, Ray. Look at all these buttons here.
What do
Not
they
just
do?
a screen. I don't know, but they're tactile buttons. So it's a very old world tech. You have to press a button to do stuff, and you don't have to go over to the screen. So
I like that.
Figure you would like that. Yeah. And
No,
look at all the buttons down
like
here, all these buttons over here. Yeah. This is a very tactile vehicle for an EV.
What if they're just buttons to be buttons that don't actually do anything?
Well, it's not a Ford. It's a Kia. So.
I have a feature you might like, Ray. Okay. Definitely look forward to hearing your opinion on this one. The second row has swivel seats that can swivel backwards if you want. How do you feel about that, Ray?
Well, if you have 3 or 4 kids, and to have the second row seats that can swivel backwards so that, I don't know, the one kid could smack the other a lot easier. I'm all for that, because what could possibly go wrong when the kids are brawling in the back seats?
And I believe the last time we saw this was in a 2008 model year Chrysler. I'm not sure which model.
I remember seeing swivel seats, but they didn't swivel 180 degrees. They swiveled sideways, so it made it easier to get in and out.
Yeah, I like this one. I like as I'm getting older and my knees and back are giving out. I like this. I like the idea of being able to swivel around and get out of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't know official pricing yet, but it's supposed to go on sale, quote, at the very end of 2023 or early 2024. So I would imagine we'd hear pricing no later than this summer, and I bet they're still deciding, because I mean, we've looked time and time again on this show at how much lithium prices can change, and then the other materials that go into building an EV. Not to mention the fact that for now, the EV9 is not going to qualify for the federal level tax credits. They're probably thinking pretty hard about how they're going to price this vehicle. Got to keep in mind it has to be built in the United States, or North America rather, with a whole bunch of complicated requirements met in order to meet the threshold for the EV tax credit at the federal level, but state incentives may apply, so look into that.
Yeah, I have a
Yes.
question, Justin, on the swivel seats. Who's sitting in this seat? Where's the leg room when you swivel this around? It's not
Yeah.
like you can have 4 people sitting there. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep. I don't know. Maybe they should fly me out to Korea and I can.
But if they're little kids,
out.
it would be
Yeah.
perfectly fine, because
Yeah,
then they can kick each other and they can smack each other, and and I can hardly hear mom or dad screaming to the kids in the back, "Stop it already! Stop it!" Meanwhile they're turning their head and they run into a car in front of them. But no, there shouldn't be any issues with that at all.
But so where we're at currently, the most affordable 3-row fully electric SUV is, I mean, it's the Rivian R1T. That's not affordable at all. Justice, correct me if I'm wrong.
I was going to say that's affordable.
No,
No,
I'm saying it's the most affordable. It's not affordable at all. It starts at what, 90,000? It starts less than the Tesla Model X, but it's a different story. That's the cheapest one, right? Because I know there's a VinFast VF9 that is going to be 3-row, but it is not available in the United States, and I'm not anywhere close to being ready to advise anyone to purchase that car. Just too many shady things going on with the rollout of VinFast's models in North America. They slashed the range figure right before delivering it to the first 1,000 customers in the United States. Pricing has been all over the place. Yeah, I'm not ready to recommend VinFast, but when the VF9 comes around, that'll be 3 rows too, and that'll be a direct competitor with the Kia EV9.
I will say this: the Kia is at least in my mind, a very attractive looking vehicle. It really is.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like the Rivian, and I think that the looks of the Rivian. I like them, but a lot of people don't, and I think that's going to be, like Ray's saying, like I think that'll be an attraction for people. This is the Rivian. A lot of people don't like this front look, and I think Kia is more traditional, but still looks like an EV, and I think that'll be a big draw for people.
Yep, but neither the R1S or the EV9 are nearly as aerodynamic as the Model X. So if you can spend 110, 120 grand on a 3-row electric SUV, you would get better efficiency with the Model X and better range too. That is true, but it's petite.
Yeah. Petite. It's kind of an option. It's kind of like the back seat of a 911, right?
Yeah.
It's something that's there. And that's about it.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, though. I admit that slipped my mind, but it slipped my mind for a reason. It's like, what do you use it for? But
good for car seats. Good for car seats. Like that's about. So
I mean, I wouldn't want my car seat up against the back of the car like that. That's fair.
Preference. That's fair. Yep.
Let's talk 7-Eleven, because I was super excited about this when this news came out just the other day. 7-Eleven is launching a new electric vehicle charging network called 7 Charge. In fact, they've already got fast charging stations online in Florida, Texas, Colorado, and California, and they're bringing them nationwide. They have not announced exactly how many or what percentage of 7-Eleven locations will get them, but it sounds like it's going to be a hell of a lot. And it looks like it's got their own proprietary app for 7 Charge. Now, there's one big bone to pick that I have with this news. Justice, have you seen what connector types they are going to be using for 7 Charge? There are 2 connector types, one of which I think is trash. Plug types.
Yeah, I did not read.
Okay.
Just don't tell me they're using CHAdeMO.
They're using CHAdeMO and CCS. So it really, I mean, this is supposed to be a future, a network built with the future in mind, not 2015 in mind when it comes to EVs. They really should have CCS and NACS, NACS, North American Charging Standard, aka the Tesla plug. That is what they should have. So that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's just the Nissan Leaf. So if you think about how many Nissan Leafs are on the road in the United States and how many Tesla vehicles are on the road in the United States, and not even to mention how that dynamic is going to shift in the years to come, because Tesla is getting more and more popular, you're not seeing Nissan Leaf sales rise month over month. I've looked at the numbers. They're not rising. They're staying about the same, a few thousand sold per month. Doesn't it make more sense to have the very few CHAdeMO plug types having to use an adapter rather than making all of the Tesla drivers use an adapter? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me too either. And looking at this picture, I have a concern.
It looks like EV Go stations.
But 1 and 2, so you got both vehicles sharing this one port. So how fast is that going to charge?
Yeah, they didn't release any information on the maximum output. I'm going to bet it's not going to be more than 125. I mean, for a lot of use cases, that's not an issue. In fact, I used a 125 kilowatt output charge point in the middle of nowhere in Missouri, and I was actually impressed with how quickly it charged my vehicle, because it's a lot of it's about the charge curve, right? Yeah. But I see what you're saying, Justice. This could get weird, but we need options. The market needs options. So I'm going to take what we can get. Hopefully, 7-Eleven will listen to the feedback that a lot of people have been posting online and make some adjustments before they get this really off the ground. Yeah.
So, for me, looking at the 7-Eleven thing, like, this isn't going to be where you need to go and stop and charge your car. This is a 7-Eleven run. Look, you're in you're getting your Slurpee and your hot dog and whatever else, that you're getting there. You might as well plug in for the 10, 15 minutes that you're going to be in the store, come out with your stuff and go. So this is almost exactly what we really want, is just this constant, like, hey, I'm going to get out and go there anyway. So I can plug in while I'm in the store. There, you come out and you have an extra, 40, 50 miles without actually taking any extra time out of your day than you normally would.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, I think this is really, really cool and could be lots of fun.
Well, I want to applaud something that was in 7-Eleven's own press release. They really mentioned how one of their goals is to bring charging access to underserved parts of America, whether that's the inner city or rural areas like where I live, because it mentions that they're also bringing these chargers to Speedway and Stripes gas stations, which are in their family of brands. There's lots of Speedway and Stripes branded gas stations in rural America, not only in my region in the east, but also in the west. I mean, Stripes is all over deep west Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado. So the fact that they are going to, well, it sounds like they're not going to shy away from investing in charging in communities that typically don't get fast chargers. I'm all for that.
Do you think, if I may, do you think that charging even for a short period of time at Wawa, at 7-Eleven, would be inordinately expensive in comparison to other charging stations? And the reason I say that is, if you're buying things at a 7-Eleven, you're already overpaying because you're paying for the convenience. It's called a convenience store. And you are programmed to understand that you're going to pay too much for most items in there. So would that same marketing philosophy on pricing apply to charging? Now my guess is that it will, that you're going to pay way more per kilowatt hour charging your vehicle at a 7-Eleven than you would anywhere else, just because of the convenience factor.
Yeah, I'm scrambling to try to find answers since they already have some 7 charge locations in Texas, Florida, and elsewhere, but so far have not found out. We'll get back to you, Ray. That's a good point,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I'm blown away by the way the messages in the chat. I didn't know 7-Eleven wasn't everywhere. Justin, I've never heard of those other companies you've already mentioned. Here in Northern California, 7-Eleven is almost as ubiquitous as Starbucks. They are
Mhm.
everywhere. So I did not know they were dying outside of California.
No, they're still in a large portion of the country, but no gas station network is everywhere except for, like,
Yeah.
maybe BP or something like that.
Wait, does 7-Eleven have gas other places?
What do you
Uh,
mean?
We
Well,
don't.
not
There
every 7-Eleven has gas.
there are, like, corner stores and stuff, yeah.
I have never seen a 7-Eleven gas station. I've never
Really?
seen a 7-Eleven incorporated with a gas station.
Wow.
We have Circle K,
Yes, Circle
but
K is huge out west.
yeah, but I've never seen a 7-Eleven at a gas station. Interesting.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, so where I'm from in
Oh,
Texas originally, that's what you see. And I just looked up a map. It looks like they're absent in most of the Midwest and some of the Deep South, but they are present in almost every other state. So they're definitely one of the big players. But I have some other charging network news to share, shall I?
please.
Yes.
All right. We don't talk a lot about the U.S. Postal Service on this show, but I'm going to change that today. So the U.S. Postal Service is partly transitioning to fully electric delivery vehicles. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My computer's acting weird. So sorry. They're partially transitioning to fully electric vehicles, and there have been some pushes for legislation to get them to fully transition because of the massive taxpayer-funded fuel savings that they would be able to harness if they went to fully electric transportation. But we'll see where that ends up. It looks like Blink Charging, one of the largest charging providers other than Electrify America, Tesla, ChargePoint, has won what they call an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract with the U.S. Postal Service. That sounds like a pretty nice contract. Yeah, so apparently it's not really indefinite because as of right now, it's up to 41,500 EV chargers, most likely level 2 chargers. So that is a whole lot of chargers, 41,000. I don't even remember which electric vehicle was chosen for this retrofit of the fleet.
Oh
I'm not sure.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
I'll look it up while you're talking, Justin.
Well, I found it. I beat you to it.
All right.
So it looks like they're gonna have some Oshkosh EVs, which are basically custom built just for the Postal Service. But more recently, the agency revealed it would buy about 9,000 Ford e-Transits. So we know what that is. I don't really know what an Oshkosh EV is, but yeah. So
by gosh, neither do I.
So the current plan is to buy 165,000 new vehicles total for the Postal Service. At least 10% would be fully electric, but there, like I said, there have been pushes to get that past 50%. I understand both sides of the argument because in rural America, I don't think most postal services would be ready to, postal service locations would be ready to go fully electric with how charging infrastructure lacks in regions like mine right now. I could see them saving a ton of money with a plug-in hybrid or a regular traditional hybrid. But in urban America, where fuel economy in an internal combustion engine powered vehicle is the worst, I see massive fuel savings by going to EVs for the Postal Service. So hopefully they got a good deal on those e-transits.
So my question is, I've lived in some rural areas, and I have members of my family who work for the Postal Service as postal carriers that use their own vehicles.
Yeah, that happens around here too. I don't know.
I was going to say, I think that's pretty common in the rural areas where you use your own vehicle and you don't drive around in one of the. Those are more for urban settings, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure where the saving on this is. And by the way, this this Oshkosh one. That sure is an ugly vehicle.
Yeah. It's up to you if you want to pull the picture up. This is a family-friendly show, but it is ugly.
I'm going to pull the picture up here, but
all right, it's maybe not safe for work, guys.
Sorry, it's loading. Here it is.
It looks like some sort of amphibious creature. No.
That is actually a good description. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
What do you think about that, Ray?
My goodness gracious! I mean, with all that glass, it's almost like the Pope mobile.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yep.
I mean, think of the suntan lotion you'd have to apply every day if you're driving something like that. Look at the size of that windshield. Safe Light ain't replacing that windshield. That's for damn sure.
Or the bugs that are going to come smashing right into that with very poor aerodynamics to get that insect to fly right off your vehicle. You're just going to have dead bugs smeared all over that.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But hey, they're driving slowly, right?
To Henry's point, this is not a real vehicle that's out there, but this is accurate as to the design. I just chose this one because it was in a neighborhood setting, but this is exactly what it looks like.
Yes, I also have looked it up, and yep, that's what it looks like. So pretty interesting. Yeah. It's not on the streets as of right now, as far as I know.
No.
Which is a problem if you're looking to sell thousands of them to the federal government. But hey, that's a different topic.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a show that Ray and I need to start, a political discussion show away from CarEdge, so we can have our opinions. We can talk about that, about selling to the federal government there.
Well, let's talk affordability, because I know that's something that we all care a lot about. It's an issue right now in EV adoption, and it probably will be for the next decade, unfortunately. However, Volkswagen, put a little footnote to Volkswagen's stuff, right? Because they've had some issues in the past. They're introducing the ID2 All. That's what they call it. ID2.
Okay.
Because right now they've got the ID3 on sale in Europe and the ID4 on sale everywhere. But ID2. It's going to be an affordable, we'll talk about that, EV concept with nearly 300 miles of range. They did unveil it in Europe just the other day. Now that's pretty cool. I got to start with some primers here, some things we should all lay out at the very beginning. So 279 miles of WLTP rated range. That would more likely be like 240, 250 in the United States. Still not bad if it can charge up to par with other modern EVs like the Kia EV6, Teslas, etc. Hopefully this is not a slow charging EV, and we don't know for sure if it is going to make it to the United States. So before you get too excited, sorry, but feel free to email your local Volkswagen representative and say, please bring this affordable EV to the US. But they're saying it would start around $27,000 US. Is that affordable for a compact, fully electric vehicle that gets 250 miles of range, Ray?
Well, it falls well below my $40,000 and below. So yes, absolutely, I would consider that affordable. And at least in my mind, I think when we start thinking affordability, I think ultimately what's going to happen is that more and more people, so that they can have a vehicle to drive, are going to be going to smaller and smaller vehicles so that they will be affordable. I think like the EV9 is a great looking vehicle that might not have a lot of legs in the future. And what I mean by that is $25,000 EVs, $30,000 EVs that are smaller, that are more that are easier for people to get from point A to point B in with an affordable monthly payment, will make more sense and overtake large EVs. I mean, large SUVs and things like that, because there is an affordability crisis in America today for transportation. So yeah, those big trucks are wonderful. The big SUVs are wonderful, and they will always remain for a small percentage of the American population. But the vast majority of the American population will find themselves, I believe, in much smaller vehicles, whether they be, and I think obviously there'll be EVs moving forward. Yeah, I think that would be a huge success here if you could bring out something that was $25,000 to $27,000, even if it was smaller.
Yeah, the way I think about affordability is also like what you're getting for the price. So for me, there's a different standard for affordability in my head when it comes to a sedan versus a crossover versus a full-sized SUV, three-row SUV, a truck. So yeah, that's one of the things that goes into how I judge whether or not something is affordable. But when it comes to making that down payment and taking out the loan, you're right. Money is money. Whatever you're getting, it doesn't really matter at that point when you're paying for it. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Now, it says that it will go on sale in Europe starting in, where did it go? I believe it's next year. But doesn't matter all that much to us here in the US right now until they can decide to finally bring their more budget-friendly options to North America. But as we've seen, Ray, 15% of new car sales as of like a month ago were about $1,000 a month monthly payments. So if automakers are seeing that Americans are willing to shell out more cash than others for new vehicles, I don't think they're incentivized to bring their more affordable options to our shores. But
I disagree, and the reason I disagree is because the number of people that can actually afford $1,000 plus a month car payment is such a small percentage of the overall buying public out there that if all you want to concentrate on is that small market, then the years of selling 17, 18 million new vehicles in the United States will be long gone because you'll be selling 10 million, maybe 11 million vehicles. And I think the key to manufacturing is you spread the development cost over as many vehicles as you can. So you'd want to produce more, not less. And I think though, in my mind, I see two Americas. The one America where their payment is $1,000 plus a month, and then the rest of us, okay, where the payment is $300, $400, $500 a month. And I think the $300, $400, $500 a month payment offers a much larger population in which to sell vehicles to. So
yeah, well, I agree that it's not good to be having this as like the new expectation to have $1,000 a month payments. Nope, it's not what I meant at all. But I totally agree with you, Ray. We'll see what happens in the next few years. Tesla news. This is the last one I've got for today, Justice. I'm actually going to be hoping you can help me out with this one. The first V4 Tesla supercharger was unveiled in the Netherlands. Now, my question for you, Justice. What makes a V4 supercharger so special?
Well, the charging capabilities. Apparently, the charging cable is longer now.
That'd be
from what I
good,
hear.
especially for F-150 Lightning owners.
Yeah, so I know that one's, but it's really the charging speeds, and I know there's something else that I'm forgetting.
well, while you're thinking that, can I ask a question? Do you think there will come a time where they will standardize where the port is to the charging port is on all vehicles? Because the big issue at the Tesla superchargers is on a Tesla, it's what, on the passenger rear side, or is it the driver? What it's in the rear.
Yeah.
And like on the Ford Lightning, it's in the front. So do you think at a certain point the manufacturers will get together and say, this is where it's got to be? It's either going to be in the front or it's going to be in the right rear, wherever. But will they decide on one specific location?
I don't think we're going to see an official movement regarding that, but here's what I think we're going to see a lot less of is charge ports being located near the driver or passenger's door. You're not going to see charge ports on the side of the vehicle as often a few years from now, because everyone's figuring out how much that sucks with the F-150 Lightning, the Porsche Taycan, however you want to say it. And there are a few others. I think even the Lucid Air. When you've got a charge port right by the door, I mean, you have to be lucky and hope that the cable's long enough. But if it's on the back of the vehicle or the front of the vehicle, you just have to know how to park in order to access that charger.
Yeah, which can be very difficult for a lot of people
Yes,
if you go
indeed.
out there in the world. But yeah, I agree with one of the other comments is in your ICE vehicle, there's a little arrow next to the gas
Yeah.
to tell you what side the tank is
Yes.
on, because in 150 years, we still haven't been able to standardize that. So
Yep.
I don't know if EVs will ever standardize or not. I agree. I think the key is going to be either put it up front or put it in the back so you can pull up to any charger without a problem. I think that's the real key there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the reason for my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the chargers that change like the gas pumps have. The gas pump hoses have gotten longer, and you can pull them down and move them, and maybe that's the way that needs to go. Maybe those are the people that need to make the change. I don't know.
Speaking of gas stations, one thing that came to mind after our 7-Eleven conversation that I feel like has a lot of potential to improve the EV ownership experience is the fact that 7-Eleven should be able to do proper upkeep and preventative maintenance and addressing issues that come up on a fast charging network. That's been the main issue with the likes of Electrify America, ChargePoint, EVgo, and even Blink. Just talked about them a moment ago. They don't do enough preventative maintenance. They wait for something to break, and then they say it'll be a few days until our technician gets out there. I would hope 7-Eleven could even solve that problem.
That would be nice.
I can tell you the guy that's taking your money at the cash register probably wouldn't know how to do it. So
yeah, that's true.
And you probably would not want him to be messing with that, actually. It's already bad enough when you have them take the propane tank and go refill it. It's like, maybe you shouldn't be doing that job.
Oh man!
But that's all I've got today, guys. Any other news on your mind?
Well, I know we had a question from Miss Kimberly Klein. She wants to talk about the ID.4, which, by the way, the only thing I want to mention about this, the new ID, is the ID.2 all.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they really missed that for the ID for all, didn't they? Wouldn't that have been the better name?
Yeah.
ID for all. Hey, look, it's for everyone. Now it's to all. It's only for half of you guys.
You're right.
Only half people. What a miss in the name.
Yes.
So, Kimberly, if you're still on, what questions did you have about the ID4, which is a great car, and they have fixed the infotainment screen last time I was in one.
And now the ID4 is built in the United States of America in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's an Appalachian-built EV. I'm pretty proud of that. I almost purchased one back in early 2022, but decided that the faster charging that Hyundai offered was worth it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the ID4, especially now that they have a more affordable variant that drops the entry-level price down to about $38,000 with delivery fees. So when you're looking at 210 miles of range, which is what the entry-level variant gets, but decent charging capabilities, it's not like it's stuck in 2010 like the Chevy Bolt and Nissan Leaf and Kia Niro are. It's got decent charging capabilities. For 38 grand, I think it's a solid buy, especially considering that you do qualify for the federal EV tax credit if your income applies. And then you step on up into the mid 40s and you're looking at 250 miles of range. I believe one variant now has rear wheel drive now has 275, I think. I might be wrong on that, Justice, but you get more for the higher price point. You get slightly faster charging when you step up into the mid 40s, and you get more range. But once again, it's really the main selling point now is qualifying for the tax credit at about $15,000 less than the Model Y. But Justice, I don't know if you've driven an ID4 like I have. It's not comparable to the Model Y. The Model Y costs a whole lot more.
No,
But the Model Y is a much better vehicle. It may, I'm not talking about looks or anything, okay? Because I know that's subjective. But when it comes to fast charging capability, efficiency, range, infotainment, silly things like the sound system, the front trunk, all those things, the Model Y is the winner hands down. But it costs like 15 grand more.
Yeah, you pay for the features there, but
Yeah.
I still like the ID4. It is one of the top 5 that I recommend to people because it's a good vehicle. I know several people who have them and they love them. So I mean, in that case,
I have to ask a question. It's one of the top 5. What are the vehicles in your top 5 EVs that you recommend? I know the first one is a Tesla. Okay, so what's 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your list?
The list changes as we go, but I want to hear yours, Justice.
It does. So my personal list right now is, of course I find out your lifestyle and what you're looking for. But let's see, I just had it here. Absolutely, the Chevy Bolt is probably one of the cheapest EVs you can get. And if you're doing an in-city commuter and you're not taking trips, it is an absolute wonderful choice. Charge at home, if you're not living in an apartment, you're charging at home at night, and you're just going to the office and grocery store. Great one. Obviously, the Model 3. For you, Ray, I'll go ahead and lump in the Model Y too, but I would have counted that separately. But I'll just say Tesla.
Okay.
All right. So 2, I would be Tesla. My third is Justin's car, the Ioniq 5, which is absolutely one of the best ones out there. And then the ID4 is 4. Now, because I had to put Teslas together, now I got to come up with what my 5th one would be.
Polestar?
But the Pulsar is probably would be, because that's a really great vehicle. I've ridden in it. It has a nice sort of mid-luxury feel to it at a great price. Drives smooth. I know our friend Mario got bored with it, but but I really liked it. I'm more of an EV guy than him, so Pulsar is really great. Yeah.
And Justin, what would be in your top 5?
Well, thanks to Justice for going first. I actually had some time to think about it, unlike him, and to come up with a list. My list is quite similar, but there are some notable differences. Number one, the number one EV I would recommend to those who are shopping in that price point would be the Model Y. I just got to say it. The Ioniq 5, of which I happen to own, is a very close number 2 for me. I truly think that the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6, which share the same platform, are right up there with the Model Y, if only public charging infrastructure was a little bit better. And I think we're going to be there about a year from now. So you got the Model Y number 1 for me, fast charging, high range for about 55 grand with delivery fees. I wish it was more affordable, but that's where we're at today. Ioniq 5, it depends on what features you want, because if you're okay with like cloth seats and wheels that don't look quite as cool as you would get on the higher trims, if you don't need a glass roof, then you can get into an Ioniq 5 today for about 45 grand, and you would get rear wheel drive with 300 miles of range and 10 to 80% in 20 minutes. That's pretty good for 45 grand. Once again, I wish it was 10,000 cheaper, but that's where we're standing today. And then EV6, polarizing looks. I went for the Ioniq 5 over the EV6. Price points are about the same, but same fast charging, high mileage EV, built in Korea, hopefully built in America soon for that tax credit. Next on my list is the ID4, actually, and here it's largely for affordability's sake. I mean, being able to get into an EV with over 200 miles of range for 40,000 or less is a pretty good deal. Now, the reason why I don't have the Bolt on my list, and I basically replaced it with the ID4, is because of anecdotal but firsthand experiences that I've heard about from plenty of Bolt owners. It's not a bad EV. They've got, the recalled vehicles had brand new batteries installed, so that's a non-issue now. They've got better batteries than most EVs on the road because of that, in my opinion. The issue is really just the lack of charging capability. I've known too many people to struggle with hour-long charge times when they need to go somewhere. Sometimes there's a kid in the back seat, and that just sounds miserable. But if you're an urban dweller and you don't travel very often by car, maybe you've got home charging or a place to charge at work, I agree with what Justise said. It's a great value for literally under 30 grand, unmatched value for that price point. But if you could afford it, I would try to take a step up, and you might not regret it. And then I believe I've got room for one more, right? Don't I, Justise?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say the Model 3, but I'm going to do what Justise did to sneak in another one. So to sneak in one other, the Model 3 is just going to be lumped in with the Model Y. I'm going to sneak in the F-150 Lightning, specifically the lower trim options. I would not advise spending 90,000, 100 grand, or if they mark it up, 120 grand on the F-150 Lightning. I do not advise that at all. But even with the markup that Ford itself announced a month or two ago, bringing the entry-level price to about 56, 57 grand, I think the F-150 Lightning is a pretty good value, considering that it's a fully electric truck. A big chunk of why it's on my list is because of the fuel savings. Trucks get horrible gas mileage, and when you're going to fully electric, there are some inconveniences, like where am I going to charge? Yeah, I got to sit there for 30 minutes. Range might only be 230, 250 miles, but you're saving a ton of money going from a gas or diesel truck to an electric truck. It's not for everyone, but that's my list.
Thank you both for that.
Yeah, that's a good list. I hadn't thought of. You're right on the F-150. I hadn't, put it into those terms.
If only it was still like 45,000 for the Pro. If only. Maybe someday.
In my area, I don't see a lot of trucks, so they don't hit my radar.
I've seen a few F-150 Lightnings in West Virginia. It's nice to see them.
All right. Any parting thoughts, Justin? As we are again over our time, as always.
EVs aren't for everyone, but as we move into the future, EVs are becoming more accessible and more appropriate for a lot more drivers' lifestyles and budgets. That's my parting thought. Things are changing quickly.
I agree. I think things are changing. I think the 7-Eleven news is exactly what we talk about all the time, how in 10 years, nothing's going to look the same. I mean, even when you can just pull into 7-Eleven for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you just charge up real quick there and then go about your day. I think that's amazing change in how lifestyle is going to change in here. So my parting thought is the future's being built, and it's wonderful just to watch and see what happens, whether you like it or not. It's got to be at least fun to watch.
Yeah.
Ray?
Yeah.
I will say the whole concept of EVs is interesting, also challenging, and something that, as you both know, I don't embrace to the same degree that you two do. And I hope that the big bet that all the manufacturers are making towards EVs is the correct bet for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that there's something else somewhere down the road that'll end up making more sense than EVs.
Fair enough.
Toyota.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that another day, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point, and you could very well be right. We'll see how it all plays out. This is all still in the early stages, but as we said, there's like $1 trillion being pumped into this. So if it fails, then the stock crash to 29 is going to look like nothing. So
are you projecting into the future, or are you talking about the past?
The past.
Yeah.
The past. Yeah. It's going to be crazy because that's a lot of money being pumped into this. So we'll see.
There is.
We'll see. So thank you, Justin. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you both.
We will be back here on Tuesday with somebody talking about something.
I know I'll be here.
Yeah, I'll be here too.
Cool.
Maybe Justin. I have no idea. I have no idea who the guest is. So thank you everyone for being here. Happy St. Patrick's Day and have a great weekend.